Welcome guys, my name is Phoenix Ace and welcome to a Twilight Forest mod review. The first thing and most important thing you need to do when getting started with this mod is this. What you're looking at right now is the start of the Twilight Forest portal. And what I have in my hand is the equivalent of the flint and steel. So basically what you want to do is make a 2x2 of water and then surround it all by plants of any kind. And then this is where the magic happens. Sometimes too, when you're going through the portal, watch out for fire. Sometimes the plants like to catch on fire from the lightning. And this is where it all begins. And over here is my station, surrounded by a bunch of good stuff where I will show you everything. And the first and foremost, mobs, and loot, and trees, galore. There's so much to this mod, and the first thing that you need to know is how to navigate it. And how do you navigate it? By making a magic map focus, of course. And how do you make a magic map focus? Well, you need raven feather, torchberries, and some glowstone, and that makes a magic map focus. And you use that magic map focus to make a blank magic map. Surround it by paper, and boom, bada bing, bada boom. And what do you do with this blank magic map, of course? You make a map. Self-explanatory. And this is the start of everything. This right here is the single most important item you will have in the mod. And what does it do when it looks fully out? This, of course. This is everything you should see on a map. What do all of these things mean? Oh, I'll get to that in a second. Let's go through the basic mobs that you will experience in this place. I have them all set up all over here. Oh, wait a second. You guys don't spawn here. But you do when used in transformation. Sheep, deer, boar, penguin. All of the mobs you know and love have a different form here. I'm going to transform you back because you are quite loud. And there's other critters around here as well. You got the squirrel, the rabbit, the tiny bird, which I'm going to kill immediately because it's very loud, and the forest raven. This guy is the guy you need in order to make raven feathers. Self-explanatory. All of this leads you to this, your magic map. And this is how you do everything. We'll get back to all of this in a minute, but first, let's show you where the first place you should ever go into this mod. This is the main biome you'll spawn in. This orange one right here is known as the mushroom forest. You'll find plenty of normal trees and plenty of mushrooms to help you get some food. This is another biome that you'll find. This is the firefly forest, denoted by the little green texture where my guy is. You can see him moving right there. This biome is the Twilight Oak Savanna. This biome is the most basic of them all. This one is just known as the forest, denoted by the dark green. This is the most treeless biome in the entire mod. This is the clearing. No trees to be found. Only a few stones and some hills. Nothing really special happens here. It is just a lake of twilight. This biome that I'm currently in is the first of many. This is the Twilight Swamp. I consider it to be the first of the boss biomes you'll need to go to. In the middle of the Twilight Swamp, you'll find the Fire Swamp, home to the Hydra. This biome right here is the Dark Forest, home to the Phantom Knights and the Ergast in the center. This is another one of the boss biomes. You gotta go either above or below. This biome is the Snowy Forest, and over there is the Glacial biome. You'll find the Yeti over here, and you'll find the Snow Queen over there. The current biome I'm in is the most exciting. Above me is the Giant's Cloud, below me is the Troll Caves. Currently, I'm on the Highlands. In front of me is the Thornlands, and up there is Final Castle and the Final Plateau. There's a bunch of things you can do. Get a bunch of fun items, collect all the armors, use the creative mode only items that are broken and don't work, collect all the music discs, get all the banners. Get all the items. And this is the uncrafting table. To make the uncrafting table, you need a maze map focus. And where do you get these things? Well, within the maze, of course. Have fun! Start building! And we have a bunch of things to start building with. Got the Twilight Oak, Canopy, Mangrove, Darkwood, Timewood, Transwood, Minewood, and Sorting Wood. And these are all the planks, all the leaves, all the trapdoors. My personal favorite is the Timewood, because it looks like a clock. Very nice indeed. These are also the specific chests. You've seen them throughout the review. And this is one of the cooler things about this mod, is every single wood type has a hollow version, even the vanilla ones. So say you wanted dark oak hollow. Oh, just put it in the stone cutter, and boom. You can also get tower wood planks from it too. And then boom. You can make it any way you want. Very nice, very nice. The ore magnet. You can get this in most hollow hills and throughout dungeons throughout every single mod. What you can do with this is pull ores out of the ground. The only ones you can't pull them out of is coal, unfortunately. For some reason, that doesn't pull. But everything else does. Diamonds, emerald, redstone, gold, iron, and it seems to work even through multiple blocks. This seems to be the limit for them. All the way from here to there. And these are the special blocks of the mod. These blocks are the Timewood Clock, Sorting Engine, Minewood Core, and the Transwood, and the heart of transformation. This, let's turn it on. And slowly you will start seeing that the ground is changing color. It's getting more vibrant, more colorful. It's happening to the leaves too. Look at that tree. Let's keep that on. Let's turn this one on too. Creates a big light. You know it's working when the thing gets even brighter. Sorting wood chest. Well, what does this one do? Well, it's supposed to sort the items in the chest nearby, but I don't think it's working. What does this do? Well, same thing as the ore magnet, except it places itself. When this happens, it will slowly pull up redstone out of the ground. Or all of it at once, Jesus. Incredible. And this is the final wood, the Timewood Clock. And what does this do? It helps things grow around. Very slowly, might I add. I don't think you'd see it within a reasonable amount of time. But these all spawn within these trees. And where do you find these specific trees? You find them... You find these trees in the Enchanted Forest. This colorful and rainbow-looking biome is the Enchanted Forest. You can find the questing ram here and the magical trees. Some of the most powerful items in the whole mod are these Charms of Life and Charms of Keeping. What does each one do? Well, Charms of Life give you regeneration for 10 seconds and brings you back to life, just like a totem. But these things are quite crazy. They give you resistance when you die, they fully revive your health, and they give you regeneration for 30 seconds. Basically an old school golden apple whenever you die. Very nice. And the Charms of Keeping? Well, the first Charm of Keeping can only keep one inventory slot or a stack of items. 2, row of items. 3, all of your inventory. And how do you make these? Well, by combining 4 into the next level. That into that, that into that, and then that into that. Boom, boom, boom. One of the best early starts to this mod is the questing ram. This big man over here can give you a lot of stuff. One of the best items he can give you is great for builders. It's the crumble horn. This basically breaks blocks and turns them into lesser versions of themselves. Very, very nice. I can test that later. And this is the crumble horn. What it does is it'll break dirt and it'll turn stone bricks into cracked stone bricks. And any other version of the block that has a cracked version will get turned into that version as well when this is used. Very efficient way to start breaking things in front of you. Very loud too. What you want to do with this guy is give him wool, of course. He asks for wool. And there will always be a dropper right here that has wool in it. But this man right here, he wants every wool. All of them. Every single piece. So you know what? We're going to give it to him. Now whenever you give this man the wool, he'll come towards you. And slowly, but surely, he'll grow longer with the colors that you give him. When it's all done, he'll be all colorful, super long too. The consummate boss. Just like that, he'll drop a bundle with all sorts of blocks and a crumble horn. Very nice. Very nice. Pleasure doing business with you, my friend. One of the first things you want to do besides going to a hollow hill or a hedge mage is go down below and get these live roots. These live roots, when broken, give you live root. And when you have live root, guess what you can do? You can make raw iron wood with some raw iron and some gold nuggets. And you make 2 of that. Smelting that into a furnace, you get some ironwood. And what do you do with the ironwood? Well, you make the starting armor in the game. Another good place to start the mod besides ore hill is a hedge mage. Here is full of spiders and a bunch of loot. Starting loot. Not very good loot, to be honest. Always go here first, and then you should be heading out towards a hollow hill where you can get some actual loot. You will find very good. You will not find very good loot in the hedge mages. They're just for show, really. And one of the spookiest biomes we have here is the spooky biome on top of a massive ore hill. The biggest one, in fact. Down here, you can find some loot. Some good loot, too. But be careful. Some of the traps are booby-trapped. Some of the chests are booby-trapped, my bad. Aha. When you get over here, be careful. Because some of these chests have TNT all over them. But when you do open these chests, you get a lot of good loot. Torch berries, pumpkin pie, diamonds, transformation powder. Makes it worth it all in the end. Hey, hey, hey! Welcome to the small ore hill. This is probably one of the easier areas to go to, but it still will be quite dangerous. But this is one of the best places you can go to when you need loot. And what can you get from this place? Well, some transformation powder for the cows and everything else that you saw earlier. Peacock feather fan. And my favorite item in the game, the moonworm queen. And this, boom, moonworm. Boom, sling it, woo! Moonworm. And these can be found in chests all throughout the place. And how do you get inside these things, of course? Well, you gotta dig in. Usually, the top is not the way to go, but I'm gonna show it because it's the easiest. You'd really want to go in through the side. And there's glowstone here. And a bunch of ores. Welcome to the Hollow Hill, and this is where you can get a bunch of loot. Everything you need for the rest of the mod will be in here. Well, at least to get started. Some things will die in here. And these things are filled with mini mobs. The worst of these mobs being red caps. And this is the biggest of the ore hills. The super ore hill, or the large ore hill. These things come in 3 different sizes. Small, medium, and large. I called this one the super ore hill. Because that just looks super, doesn't it? Calling it large does not do it service. And this is a special ore hill that spawned in a spooky biome. And where can you find in all of these? Well, you got the kobold, the goblin redcap, and the redcap sapper. These things will mess you up. Especially this guy, because this guy carries around TNT. He will drop TNT at your feet and then run away. He's a psychopath. And what's down here, you say? Well, just everything you will ever need, ever. Yeah. Ain't this fancy to look at? There's a bunch of spawners, a bunch of mobs, a bunch of special mob spawners, and some chests where you can get a bunch of the items you would need for this mod, like an ore magnet, or steel leaf, or torch berries. But just be careful. There's a bunch of things that are super dangerous here. Yep, there it all is. Now you're saying to yourself, where do I go first? What is the boss? Well, this place has progression. And you cannot proceed to another boss unless you kill the one before it. And where do you go, of course? Welp. The first boss you fight is the Naga. And the Naga, well, you could probably think of it yourself, but the Naga looks like a little snakehead over here. And what does he look like? Oh, he's terrifying. Let's go give him a visit. Boom. Whenever you go near the boss spawners, they will immediately spawn in. And this guy enjoys breaking blocks whenever he touches them, so be careful of him. I will not be fighting the bosses in this mod or going through their specific dungeons. I'll do that for another video because I don't want to spoil this because I think that's half the fun, but yeah. Sometimes he's a bit of a goofball and decides to get stuck in his own walls. So yeah, be careful of that. And he has his own custom stone too. All of the spiral and Naga stone. What you should know about this guy though is his drops. His drops are very important. At least very strong. What he will drop when he dies, Naga trophy in his scales. And what does his scales do? Well, in the standard crafting recipes area, you can make a chest plate, and some leggings. And they come pre-enchanted whenever you make them. So this is probably some of the best armor in the game, and you get it off the bat. So yeah, work your best and get it, because you're gonna need it. Because some of these bosses, they do not play nice. And what happens when you get the Naga trophy? Well, nothing. At least for now. And this is a Lich Tower. One of the smaller ones, but this is where you fight the Lich, as evidence. And this is his banner. And what do you get from this place? Same as the Ore Hills. Peacock feather fans, the Moonworm Queen. And this is the dangerous stuff, is these Death Tome spawners. These guys are quite painful to deal with. So, get them out of here before they, fuck you up. And what boss do you fight here? The Lich, of course. And what does he drop? Well, he drops these 4 stabs. And each one does something unique. The Zombie Scepter. Summon zombies! Boom! They have strength and 40 HP. And they will attack your enemies straight up for you. Get him! Get him! And these guys are pretty strong, actually. They do 7 damage a hit. And they're tanky, too. They have 40 HP and some armor. Seems buggy. But the Scepter of the Twilight does 6 damage, 99 uses. You can spam it greatly. And this is probably one of the most overpowered items I've seen in any mod. This gives you the same ability as the Lich. Basically, you can't be damaged until all of these shields are gone. And it's basically guaranteed health until these shields are gone. And how do you break these shields? Well, be hit repeatedly. And this is the Scepter of Life Draining. What happens when you use it? Well, self-explanatory. It life steals. When you hit something with it, it basically gives you regeneration. Every point of health you steal from an enemy, you gain back yourself. Doesn't actually do that much damage, but if you spam it, and it only has 99 uses, be careful. The Zombie Scepter and the Fortification Scepter both have 9 charges, so be careful with that. And these two have only 99. So yeah, well, let's go say hi to the big old Groot. Basically, you'll have to start from the bottom and make your way up. There's a staircase that goes all the way through, and it is quite perilous with all the books around. But we're going to cheat, because I don't want to spoil everything. And this is the big man himself. Basically. Oh, wow. Okay, didn't expect that you can use the Twilight Scepter against him. But yeah, this is the Twilight Lich, and I will fight him next time. After you've beaten the Lich, this is where you'll end up. This is the swamp. And it looks like this. You should see it around what looks like to be a Hydra face, a bunch of red. That's the Hydra. And to get to him, you have to go through this place first. And it looks like a bit of scrap metal. Out all the way in the swamp. And in the swamp, you're going to deal with a bunch of bullshit. So be careful of that. The important items to get from this place is all of this. Got some raw meat steak, maze wafers, these are a good food source, golden minotaur axe, extra damage while charging, and the maze breaker pickaxe. It automatically comes enchanted with efficiency 4, unbreaking 3, and fortune 2. And the mobs that spawn here are as followed. Most of these guys spawn in other places, especially these beetles, but these guys are abundant in here. But the only 2 that are exclusive to the zone are the Minotaur and the Maze Slime. And these, of course, come in the different sizes, as you'd expect. And these are the biggest pain in the ass. The Fire Beetle, which will spit fire at you. The Pinch Beetle, which will grab you. And the Slime Beetle, which will run away from you and try and shoot you with his slime. And how does the Minotaur axe work exactly? Well, you have to charge at them in a straightforward line. The extra damage while charging, it does 10 damage normally, but when you sprint at somebody, boom, look at that, 7 extra damage. But when you use it normally, only 10. So, and you can't unfortunately strafe and do damage. Actually, can you? Ah, I lied. You can. You can strafe someone and sprint around them, do the extra damage. Just gotta be sprinting, I guess. Crazy. The important items around here are the Minnoshroom Trophy and the Meat Stroganoff. How do you get these? Well, you gotta beat the Minnoshroom. He also is the one that drops that diamond axe from earlier. And this is inside of the maze, the labyrinth. And around here is where you'll find the boss. He'll be around here, locked up behind all of this. Boom. And he's a beefy boy. Look at that. He's got 60 HP. And he's gonna hurt if he hits you. And he has a bunch of food and stuff in his chest. A bunch of items. Help you along on your journey. Some red thread. Yeah, some fire react books. And this right here is probably the most important treasure room in the entire mod. This place is dangerous, and you have to get through it really fast. Not fast, but be very careful. There is a bunch of booby trapped chests around here. And once you get to this place, you're free to use all the loot. And it has some very good loot. Enchanted items, potions, ender chests, even more enchanted items, fire react, all of this. And the most important thing, these things are guaranteed to have the maze breaker pickaxe. And with this, you can insta-mine the maze. It's very nice. Very, very nice indeed. And once you basically get all this loot, you basically don't need any other loot for the rest of the mod. But be careful. There's only one of these per labyrinth, and if you screw up, well, say goodbye to everything. And this is why you don't just want to go barreling through the whole thing, because once you fuck up like that, well, an item could potentially fall off. And if something bad happens, well, because what happened to me is, yeah, that's what happens. And this is the fire swamp. After you beat the minnow shroom and consume the meat stroganoff, you will be allowed access to it. And what does this guy drop? Only what I consider to be the second best armor in the entire mod. Well, not exactly. He drops fiery blood. And what do you do with the fiery blood? Well, you make fiery ingots, of course. Combining it with an iron ingot, or straight up just using it with a piece of the metal, you can make some fiery armor. And this stuff is very good. Very, very good. You will almost not need anything else for the rest of the mod. Burns targets automatically has fire aspect on it. Probably not as good as normal. This fiery pickaxe auto smelts. Any ore that can be turned into an ingot when smelted will get dropped as an ingot. This armor, when you're attacked, burns attackers, which is a double-edged sword since they will now be able to fire upon you. And what is this? Well, the best way to beat this guy is using a bow. Because it's quite dangerous. Nothing else will work. Takes no damage from his body. No damage anywhere else either. I will show you the tricks to beat him in part 2. After you beat the Hydra, this is where you'll end up. Well, of course, after you manage to get through the Dark Forest, of course. And up here, you're gonna have to deal with a lot of bad guys. The main bad guys you're gonna have to deal with when getting through here is these 4 little assholes right here. Well, unlike in other dungeons, kobolds spawn outside here. And you got these mist wolves, other normal mobs from the darkness, skeleton druids, and king spiders, which will have a skeleton druid on them. Very dangerous. Might want to get here as fast as possible. And once you do, you'll have to deal with stuff below. And what do you have to deal with? Well, you're gonna have to deal with these guys. And what do these guys do? Well, they hurt you, of course. And what can you do to hurt them back? By taking their shit, of course. What shit do they have? Armor shards, which when combined into 9, can turn into shard cluster, and when smelted, turn into a night metal ingot. And with all this, you can start making some night metal armor. And with the loop, you can make the shield and the block and chain. All of these do a considerable amount of damage and do great against mobs. And you can see right here these weapons. These weapons are also very nice. You can find these throughout the dungeon. Let's take these here. Let's see how they do. Well, except the shield. I know that's just a normal shield. But against unarmored targets, it does 7 attack damage. This one does against unarmored targets. Interesting. Seems it doesn't do that much damage, extra damage. Spawn a skeleton druid again. Let's see. 20 HP? Only 2 extra damage. Wow. Not very good. Might as well just use the other stuff against unarmored targets. Then let's see what the block and chain does. 10 damage, and you can spam that too. If it hits something at least. Jeez. Let's see how much damage it does against armor targets. This guy has a half armor and 20 HP. Would you look at that? It did the normal damage of the sword would, even though this guy's got half armor. Impressive. Helmet crab, and all of these guys drop their respective shards. But these guys are actually 2 mobs in 1. Look at them. Look at me. Look at me. One, and when you kill one, the other will remain and continue to try and fight you. But yeah, double trouble. And how do you get into this dungeon, you may be asking yourself right now. Well, let me inform you. Remember these? Well, you're going to need one of them. Because from this point forward, you can't get into these. It'll be stopping you. But how do you get in? Well, that's by putting any single trophy that you got previously, you can now enter the dungeon. Once you get through the dungeon and make it all the way down here, you should see a lit up room, one of the only ones that is lit up. Besides the room with all the lava in it. And what you're going to be looking for is this. And when you get close, you will invoke the wrath of the phantoms. The night phantoms. This is a multi-scale boss battle. And the important drops from these guys include Phantom Helmet and Phantom Chestplate. There is no legs and boots. And you get the Phantom Knight Trophy. And the important thing about this armor is that you will always have it on you. Even if you die, it'll stay with you. After you beat the Phantom Knights, you will be allowed into the Ergast Tower. It's technically called the Dark Tower, but nobody says that anymore. The important drops here are fiery ingots, just like before, but instead of fiery blood, you have fiery tears. And who drops that? The Ergast, of course. All the important mobs that you will need to deal with around here include, but not limited to, the Carmite Gasling, the Ghast Guard, the Carmenite Broodling, the Carmenite Golem, which is one of the tougher guys, and the Torchwood Warrior. These Torchwood Warriors are also pretty important because they drop Warrior Essence. And what does Warrior Essence do? Well, along with Carmenite, it helps you make the special blocks of this mod, of this tower. Well, no, it helps you make Carmenite. And with the Carmenite, you can make this Carmenite builders, Carmenite reactors, reappearing blocks, vanishing blocks, and a block of Carmenite. And what do those blocks do? Ooh, that's a secret. But the important items besides that is Experiment 115, which is a food source you can place on the ground. Just like cake. And you can even fill it up by the slice. And the important items to look out for here is tower keys. Those are the most important ways in order to progress through the mod. And once you get to the top of the tower, your battle with the Ergast will begin. This is personally my favorite boss in the entire mod. Because, for one, he's absolutely gargantuan. Look at the lad. Look, I am in awe at the size of this lad. Look at him. Look at me. Look at this depressed man. There's a reason why this tower is destroyed, and it's all thanks to him. After you beat the Ergast, the next boss you're gonna have to go to is the Yeti. This is his banner. And this is all the important stuff you'll need around here. Basically, the only two things that spawned in this winter wonderland are winter wolves and yetis. And these guys are quite fun. They'll pick you up and they'll throw you. And be careful, you'll take damage. That's for damn sure. And what do you get from those guys? Arctic fur. And what does Arctic fur do? Well, helps you craft Arctic clothing. With it, you can also make a block of Arctic fur, which actually has a function of reducing fall damage by 90%. So if you're being reckless and need a great escape, this is a place to do. Arctic fur block clutch. And it makes this decent armor. Realistically, you could come here first, since all of these things are quite easy to defeat, and get this really nice armor off the bat. This armor set does not come pre-enchanted. But this is where everything else comes around, and this is chill aura. Basically, things that attack you start to chill, freeze up and slow down. This is the best armor in the game in my opinion, because one, it's all has protection 2 on it, except for the Yeti boots, which have protection 2 and feather falling 4, which is quite crazy honestly. Especially the armor toughness of the armor is better than fiery, but the fiery armor has better straight up armor. So pick your poison of which one you want with that. And with that, you can get the Alpha Yeti. And what does the Alpha Yeti want? Well, to kill you, of course, because you're in his damn domain. And with the fur, you can craft all of the Yeti stuff, which is easily the best armor in the game. And what does the Yeti himself drop? Well, Arctic fur and ice bombs. Is the ice bomb, and what does this little cutie do? Well, it freezes stuff. When you throw it at something, it basically gives them the ice effect and freezes them, while also doing some damage. Very nice indeed. It does not affect winter wolves, and it affects Yetis differently. What does it do to these guys? Well, it just turns them into frickin' ice. Interesting. You step in here, and it's full of Yetis. But the big one is yet to come. Boom. Alpha Yeti. 100 HP. And he is quite massive. But don't let that fool you. He's quite cozy, nice to hug. Up next, the Aurora Palace. And within it, you will find the Snow Queen. And she's protected, of course. She has all of her little minions to protect her. All of them. But the most harmless creature here, the penguin. Look at this little cutie. 10 HP, they spawn all around. They're quite cozy. But the dangerous enemies are yet to come. Inside the tower, you will encounter ice crystals, stable ice cores, unstable ice cores, and snow guardians. All of these guys will try their best to stop you. These guys, the stable ice cores, will throw shit at you. These guys will stab you, and when you kill an unstable ice core, they will explode. And in fact, them exploding is how you get through the dungeon. Interesting, isn't it? And what you'll find in the dungeon, the important items, an ice sword. These break rather quickly, but they have good damage. Ice bow, an ender bow. But the Ice Queen herself, or Snow Queen herself, drops the tri-bow and the Seeker bow. The Seeker bow doesn't miss. The tri-bow, self-explanatory. Ender bow, that's cool. It's very cool. Look at this. Blink. You switch places with ever the person you shoot. Can actually be quite handy. The ice bow freezes things. I don't believe it works on these guys, but still a nice bow all around. And the tri-bow does a lot of damage. Enough to one-shot that guy. terracotta, and light gray stained glass. This is how you get through the dungeon, by turning the blocks around. And the seeker bow. That poor penguin right there. Yep. That other penguin. You have to aim within like 3 blocks about of where you're aiming, unless you go farther. Basically, the bow doesn't miss unless you're just absolutely god-awful at aiming. Very nice. Very worth it. So do you want better damage at the cost of accuracy, or accuracy at basically no cost, honestly? Free damage. Once you fight, break, and bash your way into the Aurora Palace at the very top, you will meet the Snow Queen. And she is quite the challenge, unless you have mods. She can either be a complete pushover or give you great difficulty. Whether the way you play the game is how hard the fight will be. Good luck. Once you've killed the main 3 bosses, the Hydra, the Ergast, and the Snow Queen, which, by the way, you can do those 3 bosses in any order. You just have to kill the mini-boss before them, corresponding mini-boss before them. Then once all that's said and done, you have to go to the Highlands. And the Highlands is the end game, baby. From above to there to down below. But first, we gotta go below. Down here, you will need 2 things. First thing you'll need is a diamond pickaxe, because you're gonna need to break a lot of obsidian. Not that obsidian, though. That's a special case. In here, you will find 2 major things. These are the troll caves, after all. Witches, cave trolls, and trollvinder, unripe trollbur, and trollbur, with some trollston, which can change its color depending on certain things, which I can't figure out. This is a troll. Ugly little guy, ain't he? Big nose man. And some witches. Trolls and witches. Great company, apparently. And once you get a diamond pickaxe, or a pickaxe of that same level, you'll need to break into these tiny obsidian cubes and grab yourself some magic beans. And what do you do with those magic beans? Well, I'll show you. Back around here, once below, go above. With the magic beans you have acquired from, it's time to go say hi to the giants. Once you come back here with your magic beans, you need to look for this specific soil, Uberous soil. And with that, you'll need to plant the magic beans in order to get up. Could you technically build up? Yeah. Would that be fun? No. I'm also pretty sure if you go up there wrong, it'll start killing you. You will die. And the beasts won't spawn. But once, you'll start seeing this all glow. And then watch the magic happen. Your screen will shake. And then boom! The beanstalk will grow! And then you can go up it all the way until the top. Once you make your way up the beanstalk, you'll be greeted by these guys. You! They'll be greeted by you! Every giant shares the skin of whoever's looking at them. And it's client side too, so you might see these guys as your skin, and your friend might look at the same one and it'll be their skin. Interesting stuff. And in here is their little tiny hole where they've got some giant miners and armored giants. Be careful of these guys. They will mess you up. But the important things you need here are this: the giant sword and the giant pickaxe. And these things are quite ridiculous when you hold them. Not exactly what I'd consider conventional. Hey, they work though. The giant sword's kind of meh, but what you really need is the giant's pickaxe, because that allows you to get the giant cobblestone, the giant logs, and the giant leaves. And the giant logs and the giant cobblestone can both be turned into planks and cobblestone of 64 variety. The logs give you 4 stacks of 64, which is crazy. And once you go back down there, It's time to go back to the troll caves. Up and down and all around. Well, when the game ends, nobody knows. Once you have a giant pickaxe, it's time to get to mining. This giant obsidian! Go through the top. Make your way down. Get into the chests, where you will find the most important and final item that you will need. The Lamp of Cinders. And with this, you can proceed to the final part of the mod. Final castle. With the lamp in your hand, you will be able to go through all of it. But first, these thorns are in your way. You can't really get through the thorns you can't break them, can't do anything. Except if you have the Lamp of Cinders, which, if you right click, will break them, and then you can instantly tap them. Even in survival mode, you can instantly tap them. But if you hold it down, boom, multiple thorns broken. Even if you touch them, you can break them. And you're just gonna have to keep doing this until you make your way all the way to Final Castle. And unfortunately, this is where the mod ends. The Final Castle is currently a work in progress. You can join their Discord for the development of the mod at discord.experiment115.com. That's basically the progression of the Twilight Forest. With all of that said and done, I think this is where I'm going to call it. I hope this review was helpful to you guys, and I hope you learned something new. To be honest, this review was my first, and I can kind of see that it wasn't the best, and I regret that. I wish I could have done better, but I was very kind of awkward making this. But yeah, this has been Phoenix Ace, heading out. Hope you guys enjoyed.